It's Uncle B and Fee coming to you again live every Tuesday from 8 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. And on this podcast, we do all this discussion on dating and relationships. You know, them topics that your mama and your pappy, they could not give you any advice on. Because
They ain't know.
how could they? I mean, we living like in the Matrix right now. So how could they, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But before we get on to our topic today, first thing we want you to do is what?
Go ahead, hit that like button. Go ahead, subscribe.
Subscribe.
Get yourself notified.
Yes, notified. Hit the notify next to the bell. But also make sure that you comment on the video. If you hear something you dislike, that you disagree with, or that you really like, let us know. We need to get that feedback from you. We want to know what you think about the stuff that we're saying, all right? So without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's get it. What you got, Fee?
Well, today's topic, actually, the way that it came about is, so I was watching this show on YouTube called Blue Therapy, and it's sort of like a therapy relationship kind of show. So there's a therapist, and she has these two couples that she's therapizing, that she's counseling. So anyway, she has the two couples in two different sessions. So there was a certain pattern that I noticed when she was having a conversation with these couples, right? So the whole time, the women usually kind of led the conversation, and they had a lot of information to say about what they felt was wrong with their relationship, right? The men, yeah, I know, right? The men didn't really have much to say, right? But all of a sudden, couple number one, she got very teary-eyed at one point as the conversation went on, and she revealed something that had happened during the course of their relationship. And when she got really teary-eyed, she started crying, and all of a sudden, the guy that she's with, who was a little obstinate, he was kind of disrespectful during the session, he suddenly seemed to calm down and comfort his girl. Now, at first, he was kind of, I wouldn't say exactly disrespectful to her, but he was kind of mean and nasty and rude a little bit. But he started to all of a sudden console her while she was crying. And now she was crying, basically, just to give y'all the context of the story, she was crying because she ended up having an abortion. She aborted their baby. And he wanted her to abort the baby because he wasn't ready to have a baby, and she felt guilty about it. So that was that. The second couple, the guy, once again, a little obstinate, a little rude, a little nasty, a little mean.
You know, I saw the show too. Okay, so it's rudeness on both sides, but let's carry on.
Well, yeah, but I mean, with the guy, it seemed like the guys were very dismissive of their women's desires. But what ended up happening was the second guy had to reveal that he cheated, or he revealed that he cheated on his girl, right? So when he revealed that, all of a sudden she got all belligerent. She starts going off on him. She just goes crazy. And all of a sudden he just turns into a jellyfish. And he's like, baby, please, baby, I'm begging, baby. I'm begging, baby. And now all of a sudden he's listening to her. So the reason why I gave this long intro is because I wanted to give you guys some context. The whole point of all of this, and the question I have for Uncle B, is why does it seem like a woman can ask a man questions, or she'll make her wishes known in a relationship, right? And the guy seems to ignore her or not really take heed to what she wants. Both women just desire more attention, more time, more of all these things. And the guys seem like they were kind of dismissive of their request. But as soon as these women, got high emotions going on in the room, all of a sudden these guys were listening, they were patient, they were caring, and all these things. Like, why does it take that to get guys sometimes to react and respond the way a woman wants, rather than her just being able to say, hey?
Okay. So there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, I know I gave you a lot, right?
Yeah. But I mean, really it comes down to a few things. I'll go into the show a little bit later because I saw the show also. Well, the series, it's a series. But when it comes down to it, for a lot of guys, well, let's just break it down, the basics of communications. It's like when men talk, we're talking, and we're listening, conversating. We're thinking about solutions. We're solution oriented. That's what we do. When women talk, they're more relationship oriented. So when a woman gets to a point where she's highly emotional and everything like that, two things. For both of those situations, you're talking about situations where the women are now focused on one thing. One thing in that conversation is like, oh, I can provide a solution. I can provide comfort. It's one thing I can focus on to help the situation. That's one piece of it. But the other piece of it is, just the way that women's superpower is their communications. Men's superpower is our physicality. So, they've even done experiments where they would like take men and women, put them in a separate room and say, we got them strapped up with electrodes and we're going to zap them. And you're going to have people coming in as part of the experiment. They're not actually wired up, but they're like, okay, turn this dial up. And as you're turning the dial up, the person's going to feel more pain. And you hear the person screaming. So for the women, they turn the dial up and as women start screaming and the people will stop. The men start screaming and people keep turning it up. So it's like that's that innate thing. That's the reason why women talk 3 to 4 times more than men. That's your superpower. It's like, I've witnessed this in my own life. My father's 6'4", my mother's 5'4". So she has him doing stuff.
It's always the short ones that get the tall ones.
There you go. I don't know how that happened, but yeah. But it was like, hey, that's her superpower. She was able to get him to do stuff for her for his entire life. And you think about it, from a pure physical standpoint, if a 5'4" man was telling a 6'4" man, like, hey, take care of me, build a house, blah, 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 blah. Like, what the? Dude, no, handle it yourself. If a guy's like, yo, man, I dropped that. Another dude would be like, well, then pick it up. A woman's like, oh, I dropped it.
Pick it up.
Mm-hmm. And a woman's like, oh, I dropped that. The man's like, oh, I got it. Especially if she's in her feminine. So yeah, we are naturally pre-wired to take care of women. And where that emotional side comes up, especially because we don't deal in emotions, we deal more in, like, once again, solutions. It's like a level of confusion. That's the first part. Then it's like, oh, okay, well, let me help resolve the situation. Now I can be effective. Now I can be, solution oriented. So that's that part of it. But, having looked at that show, a couple of things that I noticed, and your description of it, it was like, yeah, I saw that show too. And there was mad disrespect on both sides and mad rudeness on both sides. But what tends to happen in communications, especially, there are things that they were saying in that show that was like, she was saying, you need to do this. You need to one guy. You need to do this. You should be doing this, blah, 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 blah. And he said, what do you bring to the table? And she was offended by the question. Now, mind you, she was going through laying out everything that he's supposed to do. And he was like, all right, what are you supposed to do? How dare you ask me such a question? So we're living in a time where our communications is very off. So it's not just, that situation right there where it's like, yeah, for a guy, it's like, okay, you're coming at me with all this row. And it's not until it's like, okay, yeah, you start crying or something. It's like, oh, you have to pay attention, blah, blah, blah. It's not helpful because you're going to keep running into situations where right now we're at a point where women.
You went out. You went out.
I'm right here.
Come back, right. Uncle B.
There we go. But yeah, we're running into a situation where when I say the women's superpowers of communications, they're not communicating the way that they used to. I mean, it's like you're able to calm the savage beast. You're able to get this one man to do stuff for you that he won't do for anybody else.
But my question is, why do the women have to go to extreme measures with their emotions? And this is not even just from, like, even we can set the show aside. I've witnessed and experienced this both. I'm saying both, but I've witnessed it. I've experienced it. Friends have told me about it. It just seems like sometimes with men, men, like a woman may communicate to a man very directly about her needs or wants or wishes or whatever. And the guy, I don't want to say the guy just ignores her intentionally per se, but sometimes men have a habit of not really, I guess it's almost like they're ignoring them, because it's almost like, I hear you, but they're not really acknowledging her in a way that feels like she's heard and understood. It's almost kind of like, it seems like let's just say, for example, if a woman asks a guy, hey, can you, I'm just gonna make up something, can you mow the lawn? The guy may just say, yep, I'll do that. But a woman kind of wants to know when you're gonna mow the lawn. That will kind of, keep her calm, because now she doesn't have to sit around wondering, well, when is this gonna happen? Whereas in a guy's mind, it's kind of like, well, I know I'm gonna mow the lawn, there's no, she didn't specify when it needs to be done, so I'll just get to it when I get to it. And that is the difference. But to a woman, it's like, well, I kind of want it done now. So like you said, communication is there's a breakdown in communication there. But what ends up happening is that the woman will come back later and say, hey, you said you were going to mow the lawn. He's like, yeah, I know, I'm going to still do it. I'll get to it. And then next thing you know, some more time passes and she's like, what the hell? Now, women usually respond in a number of ways, but the main ways are either she's going to start going off on the guy and start talking crazy to him, and you don't do nothing, and you always or she might just say, okay, I'll fix him, and she'll go get some other man to go do it, and then she'll be all nice to him, and all of a sudden the guy's like, man, I said I was going to do it, what's the problem? Or she'll just do it herself. But then when she does it herself, she's going to really have a bad attitude, because now she had to go put herself out of herself to go do it. And so in all three of those scenarios, it's almost like it's a problem. But if the woman is really going off, I'm not saying that will necessarily motivate all men, but in some cases it seems to move a man a little more if she does get highly emotional.
Here's the problem. That'll work until it won't work. So that'll work in terms of like, damn, what do I need to do to shut you up? Okay, yeah, let me go ahead and do that. And and on the other side of it, it's like, it's like if you're dealing with a woman that cries all the time, it's like, are you manipulating me? What's going on where you're at this point where you're just, I'm going to do other things and going to come up with other strategies to get you. It's really.
So y'all recognize the crying?
Oh yeah.
That's manipulation? I thought that guys just feel weak today.
You feel weak, like I said, all the way up until it stops working. So, if you're here's the trick for all the ladies out here. Here is the trick.
What's that trick?
Here's the trick. I'm putting you up on game. Okay, the Uncle B game. You want to get the man to want to do it, not have to do it. He wants to do it. It's like whether it's mowing the lawn or whatever, it's all the things you're doing ahead of time, the setup in terms of using your femininity and your communications. If the problem is a specific time that you want him to cut the lawn, just communicate that. You don't just like, oh, well, you're supposed to read my mind and guess what time I'm supposed to do this stuff.
No, but what if she does say, can you mow the lawn this afternoon? And he's ignoring it. Are you saying that with that situation, you should have been leading up to it with femininity?
Well, yeah.
How does a woman tackle that?
Well, I mean, the idea is, like I said before, men, we're encouragement machines. We want encouragement. So if you're saying the right things, it's like, hey, baby, you know what? I really like the way you take care of the house and everything. You got the car on lock. The car's always clean. You taking care of me and everything. But later on, our friends are coming over and the lawn's looking sort of like, I don't want to see, can you hook up the lawn? I'll go ahead and I'll get you some water right quick and blah, 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 get you some lemonade. When do you need it done, babe? They're coming over, so can you do it this afternoon? All right, I got you. Instead of, when you going to cut the lawn? The difference is
cut that damn thing right now.
Yeah. When you're making him a part of the solution, it's like, hey, we're solution oriented. So it's like, hey, this is a problem. Here's a solution. can you go ahead and handle, can you take care of that? Can you solve this problem for me? Instead of, you're the problem. You don't cut the lawn. You don't do stuff on time. Something wrong with you. That's what we call nagging.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. What are some other reasons? Because that makes sense what you're saying, and I get that. Now, I did ask a couple of my other guy friends this question. Everybody has, almost the same but different, varying answers. I want to know, what are some other reasons why a guy would not react or respond until a woman's emotions run high? So we know that you guys don't respond to, I'll just say, critical or, I don't know, loud.
Let's just call it what it is. It's nagging. It's getting on a goddamn nerves. Just.
Okay, some nagging. So nagging is out. All right.
Yes.
You have to inspire the man to want. What else?
There we go.
What else? What are other reasons why guys, don't hear a woman until she's at that critical point of like, ugh.
Well, I mean, as many reasons as there are people, but one thing that can, if you just happen to have a lazy ass man, well, there you go.
I think that might be a lot of that too.
Yeah. If he doesn't want to do it for some reason that he hasn't communicated, it's like, or also he's communicated, but you just ignored it. It's like, baby, I've been up all like last night doing blah blah blah. Then I got up this morning and having myself a beer or something like that. I'm just out of it. I'm just tired. And if you just ignored all of that stuff and just like, but you just need to mow the lawn, just mow the lawn. It's like, oh, okay, that's one thing. And when I say nagging, there's also that side of it where it's like you're coming across as a dude. You're into your masculine. We don't like that because here's the trick. Men have to deal with men through power and money. So if I need a man to cut my lawn, it's like, hey motherfucker, I'm bigger than you. Cut my damn lawn. Beat you up, whatever. That's power. Or money, like, yo, I hook you up with 20, 30, whatever to cut my lawn. I can't influence him just because of sex. I'm not saying having sex. I'm saying
it sounds like what you're saying is that the woman is influencing the man through her feminine nature.
Yep.
So is that like, would that speak to the point of where a man feels like he needs to care for the woman or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of that's in our nature. Our nature is to take care of women. Men are by nature selfless, and society takes a hold of that fact. I mean, think about it. If a man is walking down the street with his wife and his kids, and a woman across the street is being attacked by whatever, the wife and kids are just looking at him like, go help her. Society's like, hey, there's a man right there. Why don't you go over there and help her? We're expected to be selfless, and it's in our nature.
But I could argue that with women too, because women are naturally like that in relationships with men, where they want to take care of men usually.
Yeah, but it's women's nature is, and I'm gonna say this. Woo,
say it.
We're gonna get it. Woo.
Go ahead.
Women's nature is actually selfish. Now, I'm saying in the big picture things. So in a relationship, it's like, yes, you're getting something out of it. So yeah, that's selfless. That's selfless and selfish. Because when I say it's like this, let's break it down primal days way back in the day and everything like that. It's like man goes over, a warring tribe is over there and we got to handle them, or they're going, it's a war. So the men go over there, they go fight and they lose. They get killed. Now you have, the woman with her children. Now remember, the primal rule is to take care of the children. So the man was going over there to fight to protect his wife and his children.
And the women are going to be the nurturers to take care of their children. Mm-hmm. And when the man comes back, she's going to take care of her man that got injured. So how is that selfish?
Hold up. If he does not come back, what is she going to do? He doesn't come back because he gets slaughtered. The other men who are there, well, okay, I'm out here in the wilderness, blah, 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 wherever you are with children.
They're going to take care of it because that's something that they do, but she'll also be providing a service to them too. Yeah. Whatever it is that she can do.
Yeah.
She'll be taking care of them too. I think that it's really a two-way street. It's certain people that are selfish or selfless. But I can't argue that they both have the same qualities.
I mean, I would argue that it's still within the woman's, it's still that whole process of like, if your primary role is to take care of the children, even the man who just killed your husband, if he's the only man that's around and you can't do other things, it's not modern society. This is like, you're out in the cold winter, no house, no heat, die. It's like, okay, follow this man. I mean, that's the whole process. It's like you have to take care of the children. So it's in regular life, yes, you have people
it's built into the nature.
Yeah, we're just talking about a base nature. So for men, when a woman is in distress, whether we know the woman or not, it is in our nature to go over there and try to help. We're helping strangers, damn near get killed, helping strangers. It shows up in ways that don't even make sense. For example, doing a bank robbery. It's like, they'll say, send the women and children out first. And for whatever stupid reason.
All the women and the children to the basement.
Yeah, for me, if I'm robbing a bank, I'm sending out the men. Because if it's just men in there, they'll try to break in, they'll smoke bomb, all this other kind of stuff. If it's women and children, they'll leave us alone. That's because
I don't know. I don't know about all that. Because the women and children, they might look at them like, I could take you out. But look, we getting all too far off on that topic. So we're going to bring it right back. Mm-hmm. All right. So this is our second point, is that you're saying it's in a man's nature to want to protect or take care of a woman, especially if she's in distress.
Yes.
So we got nagging and then we got the distress. Are there any other reasons? Or I have one that several guys told me. Like several of my male friends have said this, and let me know what you think about it.
Hit me up.
They said that in general, sometimes men just don't listen. I agree.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you guys don't hear things, and I'm gonna tell you why I really agree with it. Not just because I have my own experience, like dealing with men, that I've been in relationships with in that capacity, but even I noticed something, even at my job, right? At my job, it seems like when I first started working there, because I work with nothing but men, because I work in IT, so it's just a bunch of dudes. And I remember, like, at first I took things kind of personally when I would, like, try to be proactive about certain situations. I'll be like, it looks like there's a problem with X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. And it just seemed like everybody would be like, oh, okay, well, it's fine. Or they would just try to Band-Aid an issue. And I'm thinking, like, we're dealing with like servers and machines and stuff here that,
you don't
that
take care of them.
We need to have permanent solutions for. And they're just like, oh, well, if nobody ain't say nothing, they should be all right. At first I took it personal. I was thinking like, are they doing this to me because I'm a woman? Like, I couldn't really tell, but then it started to click after a while, because I get along with all the guys there. And then I was like, it didn't feel like they were really being disrespectful. It didn't feel like any of that, really. I didn't feel discrimination. I still don't. But I still wondered, because it was it's like I speak a whole nother language now working with nothing but men, because men speak a whole nother language. It's almost like things do not get handled a lot of times until it becomes a fire. Until fire alarms are going off, and it's like, oh, this is an absolute necessity. We got to take care of this problem right now. And I know I'm kind of blending two things together. Wait, let me just say what.
Well, let me just say for this it's the part where, once again, women use way more words. We don't process the same way. So it's like, for men, it's 3332 hut. Give us the information so we can use it. And for a lot of women, it's like, okay, the point is A, and we have to get to M. Well, I'm going to talk about Z and X and elemental P, and and 12 and 15. Be like, whoa, how do we get the numbers? It's too much. We start literally.
Y'all be like short circuiting.
we just drown it out. And unfortunately, if you keep hearing, if you have a lot of women around you who just constantly talking, and it's like,
my emails got a lot shorter when I started working at this job.
There you go.
They're like now literally like a sentence or two. Usually a sentence. If it's 2 sentences, that's almost too much.
It is get to the point. Like I said before, with the women who are like in distress and things like that. Well, if you're arguing about a whole bunch of different things, it's like your dog died, and then your mama's upset, and then the clouds ain't fluffy, and then there's a fire in the back. It's like pick one. So
you're trying to find one thing to get to take care of.
Yeah, when you're like, because we're listening, it's like, oh, okay, so you want me to take care of the dog? Well, I can't do anything about your grandma, and there's a fluffy cow. What's going on over there? Which one do you want me to do? I don't pick one. As soon as she picks, like, this is what I'm upset about, and it's like, oh, thank God. Oh,
but see. That also requires an understanding, because a lot of times when women get like that, it's not even about fixing the problem. It's just, I need to vent and get this off my chest because it's bothering me right now. But then after she finished venting to you, you already helped her because you were a listening ear, even though you weren't really listening. I mean, it's good enough for her as long as it seems like you were.
Well, the issue is that you're right. You're absolutely right. That's the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. It talks about that entire concept, and I highly recommend, if you're in a relationship, that you read that book together so that you can understand that difference, because we are that different. And it's actually sort of upsetting. Sometimes women are like, well, something's wrong with them. It's like us saying something's wrong with you. A man saying something wrong with a woman because she talks too much is like a woman saying something wrong with a man because he doesn't talk enough. It's like, no, that's just the way we are. Accept it and move on.
And you have to bring it together. And I guess that's the part that is kind of the difficulty. Mm-hmm. So I guess, like, just to get back to the original, the third point anyway, there was actually a third and a fourth point kind of mixed in there together. Okay. And the third one was basically that, sometimes guys don't listen, and that's the reason why. So like I was saying earlier, when I would when I would be at work and I'm looking at emails and I'm seeing like alerts going off, for different, whether it's a server or some other machine. And I'm like, oh no, there's this alert going off, like we need to do something. And it's just like, forget about it. But then all of a sudden, once the alert makes it to like an upper management, then all of a sudden it's like, hey, y'all need to take care of this ASAP. Then everyone's like going crazy, fire. And it's like, well, I said this a long time ago, but nobody heard me until fire alarms went off. So that was the one point, was, the whole fire alarms thing. And then the other thing is, I guess why it merges into the same point is that sometimes guys, from what I'm told too, sometimes guys just don't view everything as important or necessary to address immediately, because it's something that can be put off until it becomes an immediate threat. Whereas with women, we're so proactive, and I think guys are more reactive in general, because something big happens and then you guys react to it and then you get straight to it. But women, we're more proactive. We're better in a proactive scenario, because when we're forced to be reactive, a lot of times we can't stay calm under pressure. But when we are calm, we'll come up with a strategy that has 5-10 different points or ways to target an issue.
Well, it's for women are more detail oriented. That's because to be detailed and a big problem solver, and you're dealing with IT, you just those typically some big problems. It's in the minutia, it's in the detail, but it's not until it's like, oh yeah, that's a big problem. Oh, I can solve a big problem, but solving small problems every day, that's like going shopping. It's irritating as hell, because now, I'm going to pick through this, I'm picking through that. Oh, this color and that color and it's just pick something.
I hate shopping.
Yeah, well, some women do, but
I do. I put a list down when I go grocery shopping. I go write down my list, and actually, even when I'm writing it down, I'm visualizing the grocery store, and I know which side I'm going in on, and I go from left to right, and I'm out the door. I don't do all that back and forth. And what's this? This looks interesting. I ain't got time for it.
Yeah. And for guys, we don't even get a list. We just, what do I need? Let me go. So.
And then y'all forget stuff and then go right back.
Yeah. That
I
can
don't forget.
I mean, but that's the reason why the Boy Scout motto is be prepared. It's like a recognition that it's in the man's nature. Like, yeah, I'm gonna solve the big problems, but I'm not paying attention to the small problems. And so, that's the reason why, men and women work well together. It's like,
yeah, that's true. Because women, we focus a lot on little things.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'll go out, have no problem cutting down trees, collecting the mud, making bricks, building a house, all this other kind of stuff. Ask me to decorate. Come on now.
I saw your house now.
Oh.
Don't sit up and lie.
That's because
when I saw that accent wall and you had I said, wait a minute now, this needs to be up in somebody's magazine.
Oh yeah, I'm good with it.
And you got all them plants and that foliage in there. Don't be sitting up here lying, trying to act like ask me to decorate.
That's because
I can't decorate.
I didn't build the apartment. I didn't build the apartment.
He clean too, y'all. He clean too.
That's what I do.
I'll be like, where the clean men at? Shoot, it's hard to find one. It's hard to find that. Dirty bills and man, it is. Whew. Sometimes I think guys don't think that's even necessary. I think women have to sometimes encourage that.
Actually, my experience has been sort of the opposite. It's like, well, just for me, I've noticed that, it's on both sides. It's on both sides. It depends on individual. But yeah. I mean, once again, it's about those details. So it's like, I've had female friends my entire life, and oh my God, I mean, it's like certain things they'll just keep on talking about, and you can't stop them. It's like this girl came across, I asked her how her date was, and she was like, "Oh, let me tell you," and then she started talking to me like I was one of her girlfriends.
I was about to say that's how we always start.
Oh,
girl, let me just tell you, girl.
And I'm sitting there like, she started going into detail, and I was like, "Stop." She was like, "Oh, I know." I'm saying stop, and she's like, "Oh no, that means go forward." I'm like, "No, that means I don't want to eat detail." But no, he was about to take his drawers off. What the heck? No, I don't know nothing about boys' drawers. No.
See, that's what we love to hear. When I ask my girl, "How was your date?" she'd be like, "Girl, let me tell you." Actually, this is how it would usually start, where she'll send me a text while she's still on the date, while she's in the bathroom, be like, "Girl, I cannot wait, girl. Make sure you stay up. Get your popcorn, girl. I got to tell you what happened tonight."
Yeah.
And you'd be like, "Ooh, I'm going to stay up because I got to hear this."
Yep. That's that relationship building. That's you communicate to build relationships. For guys, well, I mean, you're out there solving a problem of, whatever that is. So, women always think that men do a lot of locker room talk. It's not a lot of locker room talk. Basically, it's like, "Yo, went out with homegirl last night. Oh, word, you hit that? Yeah." End of that conversation. There's nothing. What was she wearing? What kind of panties did she have on? Like, nigga, I ain't telling you what kind of panties she had on.
But now why is it? Well, okay, maybe this might be another thing. Well, let me just ask you anyway, while we just talking real quick. I'll just answer this real quick. Why does it seem like the guys will focus on the negative stuff? Like they'll be like, "Oh man," like if a dude say, "Oh, did you hit that? Remember that one, that bad one? She had a big ass." Ah man, and then they will go to town talking about how she crazy. She broke the windows out of his car. Why guys focus on that, but they don't focus on?
Because she crazy and she broke the windows out of her car. Gotta warn the motherfucker. Like, yeah, don't go near her. But yeah, I mean, that's the same thing for everybody. It's like, a good thing gets passed around one time, negative information gets passed 7 times. That's just the nature of humans. But, like I said, I have a bunch of female friends. Y'all get into that negative area too. Our negative area is
we getting everything.
Yeah, I mean, our negative area is like, you too. That's usually the issue. Is like, yeah, she had homegirl crazy and blah blah blah. Like, yeah, my girl crazy too. Blah blah blah. Yeah, my girl.
Everybody think everybody crazy because they don't understand each other. That's all that is.
Yeah. So I mean, here's the thing. My challenge to, because here's the thing: men aren't going to change, because that's just for us to all of a sudden talk more. I always use this analogy. There's a reason why we don't talk, and you want that reason to stay there. Let's give an example. You have Thanksgiving dinner, the whole family's over, and that one uncle that went to war comes over, and he's always talking. He talks too much, and so he's talking to your nieces and nephews, talking about, yeah, I was over there in the shit with your uncle, your daddy, and yeah, and we was over there, and I was over there fighting and everything right next to him, and then boom, his head got blown off and shit, and then his eyeball was right here on the shoulder. And I was looking down, and he's looking at me, and like, nigga, get back to work, you know. The children are crying, grandma.
I would enjoy those stories.
Like,
no, I would enjoy that.
You would. But I mean, that's the whole thing. We go through stuff, and not only do people not want to hear us talk about our negative stuff.
Wait, I'm sorry. You said his eyeball was right here. I was like, get back to work.
We don't play, man.
Get back to work.
Pick up your gun. Get to shooting, man. With your one eye.
I wish I had Uncle to tell me some crazy stories like that.
Yeah. But that's what happens. We're designed not to talk. So for the ladies, communications is your realm, and what's being lost, in the women becoming more masculine, talking more like men, is that you've lost the ability to control men. And it's like, that's a fine art. I don't understand that art. Don't want to understand that art, but I do understand when it works. When you have a woman that can talk to you.
That is another topic, because I really think that there's not enough fairness given to, I'm going to say men and women both just don't understand each other. And there's not enough fairness really given to women. When I say fairness, I really just mean understanding and compassion. The woman's plight coming up as a little girl all the way into adulthood, she's being shaped and molded to become a certain person. And, I just think that if we have more compassion for one another, then maybe there could be at least, some small changes, but I don't know. I don't really know that that's going to happen, but that's on a whole nother topic. But
well, let me say something right quick.
Say something right quick.
Cause I don't agree with that. I would say for the past 30, 40 years, we've heard so much from women. So much. The shows, the TV shows, everything has been geared towards women, women's power, women this, women that, to the point that, I was talking to my nephew, and in school, it's like, all girl power, this, the women are in front, girls are in front, blah, blah, blah. And there's no nothing given to men at this point. So.
How old is your nephew?
Huh?
How old is your nephew?
He just turned 14. Just turned 14.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're talking about, there's been this echo chamber of women's issues, women's problems, this, blah, 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 blah. And there has been nothing for years, to the point that whenever we talk about Kevin Samuels, it's interesting how it's so new. That's the shocking part. That's the reason why it's so like, how do you go from, get 1 million subscribers, all this other kind of stuff? It's new. What he's saying, men have been saying to each other.
New. You mean it's new that it's in the open now, that it's in the public?
Yeah.
Like the men's. But I'm not saying that. Saying that men can't have a voice about something. And I'm not saying that women have been, just blabbering on, about the same. I'm not talking about the same thing. No, I know that women have been talking for a long time, thanks to, Oprah, that Oprah generation. But what I'm talking about is, it mostly has to do with, like, your screen went black, but it mostly has to do more so with, I'm going to say, mental health in the Black community, especially. It's more about that, because this is the reason why people respond the way they do. And I think that that's the bigger problem that I'm saying that we don't really get deep into. It's just always like, men do this, women do that, but nobody has enough compassion for one another to understand the other person's struggle. But like I said, because that's such a. I mean, I'm gonna let you finish your point, but I'm saying it's such a big topic that it's kind of hard to cover now because we already 40 minutes into this one. So I kind of wanted to make sure that we, we can really dig into that one another day.
Oh yeah. We'll go into that next week because we do go out there every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday from 8 to 9 Eastern Standard Time.
So if you haven't done so already, and I'll be surprised why, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bells so you get some of this information.
Please make sure you leave us comments on what you thought about what was said on the show, anything. And let us know, like, even stuff that we didn't really dive into. You want to hear more of it? You know what I mean? Like, what type of topics do you want us to even talk about? Like, make sure you're vocal. And as Uncle B always says, communication. Communication is key. But let's just, before we leave, let's just wrap it up. Safe sex, to make sure we know what are these 4 points that the 4 points why men don't hear women until fire alarms are going off. So we said nagging. That's one way to get to get him to do stuff is if you're nagging, but then it won't work eventually because now he's getting irritated with it. The other one is a woman using her femininity. Oh, baby, you just so good all the time. Could you be good and get that lawn done too? So but that would actually be a good way, right? Unless it's just over the top manipulative.
Oh, yeah.
If he's consistent, then that will be good, right?
Yeah, use it the way that it's meant to be used. Don't try to abuse it because it's easy to tell.
Right. Okay, and then the other two, which kind of merge together a little bit, is the reason why guys don't hear women is because sometimes the woman is focused on things that the guy thinks is maybe not that important, and because the guy feels like, let's wait till this thing turns into a big fire and then we'll go ahead and put it out. Like, why focus on this little teeny flicker that could be put out now? Let's focus on it when it's ablaze.
And also, let's go ahead and add this in.
Or don't hear you. They ignore us too.
Yeah, ladies, get to the point. A point.
Oh yeah, get to the point.
Yeah,
we'll be talking about the teddy bears and the suns and the dresses. Go ahead.
Yeah, we getting lost. Like, what? Huh? Yeah, just tell us what you want. Let's get to it. Okay, there you go.
Tell them what you want. Tell them what you need. All right. Well, cool. Let's hopefully we can start to incorporate some of this stuff, and people can incorporate this in their lives, have a much better relationship, maybe.
Yep. Let's do it. Let's do it, folks.
Yep. So once again, every Tuesday, 8 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. Sub, like, comment, subscribe.
That's what we do. All right, everybody. End of this show. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
Uncle B and Fee.